Kia ora koutou, Markie here on the trot. Let's give you a little view of where I'm walking. It's a gorgeous morning and I'm vlogging. Vlogging and walking at the same time, multitasking. So hello. If you're a patron or a subscriber and supporter, thank you very much. And if you're a new viewer, hello, welcome. So this is part of the series that I've done for people who are on the autistic spectrum. And I like to use the term ASC rather than ASD. ASD is autistic spectrum disorder. I like ASC, autistic spectrum condition, because autism isn't, is seen as a disability or disorder, whereas actually I think it's a difference. And although it brings challenges and it makes some things very difficult to do, it also usually brings a few superpowers along the way. So I prefer condition to disorder. So you'll see me use the term ASC for the most part. So this is kind of a series with guidance on how to overcome some of the social difficulties associated with ASC, because that's where it tends to strike. It tends to make a lot of social interaction very difficult and challenging, and of course social interaction is everything, isn't it? It's so much, and interestingly, with the internet age, lots of people with autism are kind of isolating. They live in virtual lives, and they're staying in one room and living a computer existence. But even for us people on the autistic spectrum, that's not good. We still need, humans are still gregarious. We still need real, face-to-face human contact. So I don't know which number this is. I'm on the autistic spectrum myself. I've got something called dyscalculia, which is like a kind of numeric form of dyslexia. So the last videos I did on this, which I numbered, I lost the plot completely. So on the title it should be correct. But this is a series, and if you look at the playlists on my channel, on the YouTube channel, you'll see the whole playlist, so you can watch all the episodes. They're probably on the playlist in the wrong order because I can't figure out how to put them in the right order. So what I want to talk about today is, so often people on the autistic spectrum are very intelligent, and often develop and acquire a great deal of specialist knowledge. Okay, so we become experts, either professionally or in terms of a hobby or interest. So we might become an expert in Star Trek. And one of the problems that people that have this kind of expertise, this level of knowledge on the autistic spectrum, is in communicating that to other people. And often we're extremely bad at it. Okay, so for example, because I'm not very computer savvy at all, I don't have that superpower. So if I need advice on a computer problem, sometimes the last person I want to go to is a computer expert, because they will blind me with science and they will use all kinds of language which I don't understand, and they might tell me exactly what to do and they might have the perfect solution, but I won't understand a word of it. Okay, so first off, and this is a general point really, is don't use jargon. Don't use specialist terminology with people that don't know specialist terminology. Now, I find doctors are often the worst ones for this. Now, I'm pretty well up on medical terminology, but doctors forget that most people aren't. So I was seeing a dental surgeon yesterday, and he was talking about the lingual nerve. And most people that would be kind of meaningless, really. There's no point in talking about the lingual nerve to people that don't know what that is without any explanation. Now, I kind of, because I'm interested in words and language particularly. So the word lingo, language, even like cunnilingus, all these things refer to the tongue. So I knew that was the nerve that served the tongue. So I was kind of up on board with what the doctor was saying. But if I wasn't if I didn't have that interest or I didn't have any medical knowledge, I wouldn't have a clue, that he was talking about the nerve that serves the tongue. Because apparently, if this surgery goes wrong, it'll make my tongue go numb, which is kind of a bit of a scary thought, isn't it? Especially kind of the idea of biting it all the time. I guess it wouldn't hurt. I might bite it off. So, this is a prime example. So if you have some specialist expertise, then just remember that the person you're talking to may not have that expertise. And the secret is to check out your audience. It's always important to kind of get some feedback from people. One of the things that people on the autistic spectrum are prone to do is to talk at people, and sometimes in a kind of quite a rehearsed way, so that might kind of use the same kind of monologue that you've used before to somebody else. So check out your audience, because if you're talking to somebody that's a bigger expert than you, then you don't want to be talking down to them and explaining things that are their bread and butter. And if you're talking to someone that doesn't know as much as you, then you'll lose them if you just go over the top of their heads. So I'm going to get near to a main road again now, so there'll be some traffic noise. So I'm coming a little bit closer to the screen, which might be slightly disturbing. So check out where people and ask people, do you know about this, or have you come across this before, or are you familiar with this subject, or and also the other thing is level of detail. Okay, so if you're talking about Star Trek to a fellow nerd, then you can fill your boots. You can go into as much detail as you want and have a great conversation. Okay, but if you're on a date then and you talk to somebody and find that they're maybe mildly interested in Star Trek, and you go into super detail about series 6 episode 4, the story arc, and what have you, even if they like Star Trek, you will lose them, and that'll be your first and last date with that person. So again, with all these things, I kind of feel like I'm stating the obvious, but I think sometimes as people on the spectrum need to reflect on this kind of thing, need to keep reminding ourselves about this kind of thing. So the secret is get feedback. Keep checking out people. You can say to people, oh, am I going into too much detail here? And also, just bear in mind that, we talk about this more in another video, is that people may have some interest in some of the topics that you're interested in, but not to the degree that you do. So, they will be able to converse on that and enjoy a conversation on it, but it'll be on a much more basic level, and they won't be interested in talking about it for quite so long. Okay, so it's like for me, for example, it's like, I'm not a Star Trek nerd. I don't know very much about Star Trek. It's something I would, potentially quite enjoy watching. It's not something I've kind of got into. So I could have a conversation about Star Trek. It's not something that's beyond my ken that I wouldn't be able to talk about. And there are lots of things that are beyond my ken and I can't really talk about. Sport being one of them. But I wouldn't follow you if you started to go into great detail. And, I would be wanting to probably have a fairly brief conversation about Star Trek and then move it on to something else, maybe find some other area of common interest that we have where I do know a little bit more and I can add more to the conversation and the conversation is more equal. So I hope that's helpful, and Rangimarie.